Okay, so now we should be live on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Nathan. Welcome back to the Google Hanguk AMA every Monday. We are answering your questions about living and studying in Korea. So the first thing, as usual, are our reminders. Coming up this month are deadlines for two of our schools, Hanguk University in Seoul and Shila University in Busan. So make sure to get your documents to us by the deadlines. And later in the summer, we have our other schools that have deadlines during July. So be sure you can check all the deadlines on our website for our other schools as well. Also next week, we'll be at KCON in New York. And KCON in New York is June 23rd and 24th. So we'll have a booth there, and we'll also have a panel. So the panel will be at 2 p.m. on June 24th, and we will be meeting you in person, and you can also win some great prizes and giveaways. We have free tuition at two of our language schools, as well as free housing at one of our share house partners. So we look forward to seeing you there in person. Also next week, if you're in Korea and you're studying with us, we're gonna have a lot of events going on. So you can check our Facebook page, and then if you go to events, you can see all of our events that are coming up. If you'd like to join us for one of those, just let us know 3 days in advance and let us know that you'd like to join, and we can get in contact with you and let you know where we're meeting and any other details we need from you for those events. Also, if you're in Korea or if you're even outside Korea, the Korean government test for Korean, the TOPIK test, there's one coming up this July, so next month. In Korea, the test is given many times, like 5 to 6 times a year, but if you're outside of Korea, it may only be like once or twice a year. So if you're taking the test, we wish you good luck on that. And you can check out the video that I made about the TOPIK test on our YouTube or Facebook. The details, the format and other things you should be preparing for regarding the test. Another thing we want to remind you of is that in October there's a big holiday. It's the Korean version of Thanksgiving, so it's called Chuseok, and that's during the first week of October. So just to let you know, if you're planning on coming to Korea around that time, that some things might be closed, or it also might be kind of busy if you're going in and out of Seoul due to people visiting their family or just taking vacation, because this year it falls to where that people can get like almost a whole week or more off of work and school. So it should be a popular time to take vacation and holiday in Korea. So just wanted to make you all aware of that. I believe that's all for the reminders and other information. So today I'd like to jump into our AMA now. Lately I've been getting a lot of questions relating to admission and application to our partner universities, as well as Lexus Korea, and also questions regarding payment. So I'll start answering your questions right now. A lot of people ask when they're applying to the schools how the visa is handled. So if you're going to be studying at one of our university partners, the documents you send us will be used by the school to sponsor your visa to study. The visa you'll get is the Korean language training student visa, and that visa is good for a maximum of 2 years. You don't need to submit any other special documentation when you apply besides the ones we ask you for. After you submit your documents, we'll give them to the school, and after you get the invoice for tuition and pay that, then they can issue a letter of acceptance, and that's kind of like your, I guess, golden ticket for applying for a visa. And besides Hanguk University, which is a little bit different, all the other ones will require you to take that letter of acceptance to your local embassy and apply for your visa that way. And you'll have to check with your local embassy if you need anything special besides maybe an application form and the letter of acceptance for the visa. But that letter of acceptance is pretty much your golden ticket for your D4 student visa to study in Korea. And the school will only issue that after you've paid the invoice for tuition. So once you send us all your documents, we say, great, good job, the school has accepted those documents, here's your invoice. make sure to pay that as quickly as possible to make sure the school can then issue your letter of acceptance for your visa. The next question that I get a lot is, since the schools require you to be a high school graduate or higher, like, do my grades matter at college level? Do they matter if I didn't do so well in high school even though I graduated? And in general, no. They just need to make sure that you have graduated high school or higher, like community college or 4-year degree, master's degree, what have you, and that you can also provide a transcript. So they want to see like what classes and what material you covered in high school. And in general, if you have some type of proof of graduation, that is, you have a diploma, high school, college level, or you have like a transcript document from your school saying that you were awarded your high school diploma, you were awarded a degree, that should be sufficient. And not only do you have to provide those documents, you have to provide an apostle if your home country is part of the Hague Convention, or you have to provide documents from the local Korean embassy, and they can certify your documents saying that, like, yes, this is a high school diploma, and you can use it for admission to language school. So the most popular countries that you have to get a Korean embassy consular certification that I get emails from are Canada, Malaysia, and Singapore. There are other countries that aren't part of the Hague Convention that I do get emails for, but those are like the top 3. Otherwise, if you're like part of the EU, or you're part of Great Britain, or you're from the US, then you would provide an apostle. And basically the apostle is just saying that this document is authorized for like international use, and it's saying like you haven't tampered with your diploma, this isn't like printed off your Photoshop or something. So it authorizes it for international use, and in this case for admission to language school. Also, many people are very anxious to apply to language school, and so they quickly fill out the contact form, and if we don't respond to them like within 1 minute, they send us another 10 contact forms. While we really love the enthusiasm, it's actually unnecessary. Once we get the contact form once, then we do get an email and we will respond to you as quickly as possible. If you have more than one language school you're interested in, or you want information about, say, a different accommodation type, or you're also interested in our study trips, then you can just write that in the message box in the contact form. And we really try to get back to you within a day, and we say within 3 business days, but normally we're able to get back to you within a day if it's not like a weekend or something. So we will reply to every message we get, and please just be patient and understand if we don't get back to you within one or 2 minutes or something like that. And also the contact form is simply that. It's to contact us to let us know you're interested in applying. It's not any formal application form. Some people have been confused about that. So just want to reiterate, the contact form is kind of the starting point for the whole application process. Once we get more details from you, like when you want to start studying, how long you want to study, what school you'd like to go to, then we can send you the specific application package for that school and for that term. Otherwise, the contact form is just that. It's to start the process with us, and we can send you more details about accommodations, or if you're interested in our study trips or anything like that after you initiate contact with us. Also, you can email us at our email address, just info@gogohanguk.com, if you're not on our website and see our contact form, and you can initiate contact with us that way as well. Some of the schools require a study plan and self-introduction, and a lot of people have questions about that because there is no like formal form, there's no paper that we send you to fill out or anything like that. It's simply free form. You can write pretty much whatever you want. So just to give you guidance on that, a lot of people give a brief self-introduction, like, hi, I'm Nathan, I'm from the US, I study at this school, and then they get into maybe why they're interested in studying Korean, or how they got into being interested in Korea or Korean culture, Korean language, or whatever they want to do with the language afterwards. Like, say, after studying Korean, I want to get a job in Korea, or after studying Korean, I'd really love to do this, that, and the other thing. I'd like to continue studying at a university. I'd like to apply for another program, things like that. So these are all things you can discuss in that brief self-introduction and study plan. If you have a special way you've been studying up to this point, like I really love watching Korean dramas, I copy down phrases I hear and study those, or I really enjoy watching YouTube videos of people living in Korea and learning about the different places you can go or foods you can eat in Korea. Anything like that can be included in your study plan or self-introduction document. And not every school requires this, but there are some that want some sort of personal statement. So that's kind of the information that you can include in that. More or less, it can be pretty much a page in length. You don't have to write more than a page. Some people write, a full page, single space. Some people write like a full page, double space. Just as long as you give a brief introduction of yourself, a little bit about your background, and how you got interested in Korea, and how you are planning on studying Korean and what you want to do with the language. As long as it covers those general things, the school should accept it. I haven't had any one of the students that I've gotten their application forms from, I haven't had anyone's get rejected by the school, like, oh, you need to write more, or we need more details from you. So as long as you cover those bases, you should be good to go. Another question I get often is, people know that you're going to be studying Korean, but they want to know, like, specifically what courses am I going to take, what material is covered in class. One great way to learn about that is if you watch our class observation videos. We've done quite a few of them now, so you can kind of see like how class is conducted and what material you're going to cover. But in general, you're going to cover the 4 basic skills of reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And within those, you're going to cover vocabulary and grammar. And if you start from the very beginning, you're going to cover the alphabet, how to pronounce the different characters, all the vowels and consonants in Korean, phonetics and things. So there's no like course numbers or course names per se. You're just going to be studying Korean language in general. And then specifically in class, you're going to cover all those skills, as well as grammar and vocabulary. Some schools have other things like, say, cultural experiences or field trips, or language exchanges with local Korean students at that school. And those materials are kind of school specific, so they can let you know specifically on those schedules and when you can expect to do those things, like if it's a field trip or a special experience outside of class. For instance, when I was in language school, we normally had a field trip every term, and the one term that didn't have a field trip, it was local kind of international fair where the students from language school would hold a special fair for campus and to talk about their home countries, like say if you're from Europe, different countries in Europe, or different other countries in Asia as well. So that was normally during the fall term, and then the other terms we had a field trip. And those dates were told to us like at the start of the term so we could plan accordingly. You may have other classes that the school offer, like maybe one about news or one about pop culture, like music or things like that. Just when you get to language school, the school will tell you the certain dates and when to expect those coming up during the term. For those just joining us, I'm Nathan. I'm the International Student Coordinator here at Hanguk. We're here in our office in Seoul, answering your questions about living and studying in Korea. I've been going through questions about the admission and application process. There's been a lot recently, since this time is a very popular time to apply for language school, because the fall term is a very heavy intake term normally, the fall and summer. So if you do have questions, make sure to write them in the comments below, both on YouTube or Facebook. Another thing is that your visa can be good for a maximum of 24 months for 2 years. However, you may study shorter or longer than that. Typically, if you study longer than that, then you're going to have to maybe do another course that's not sponsored by a visa. Like you leave your Korea, you come back on just a tourist visa and continue studying that way. But the D4 visa is only good for 24 months. So after you stay in Korea for that time, then you would have to switch to another visa or leave Korea or something like that, leave and come back. So the way you need to study shorter than that is that, say you get placed into a higher level than like level 1. So for instance, I got placed into level 2 when I started. So the whole program that I took only took 1 year and 3 months. Normally programs will finish within a year and a half. The reason why you'd study longer than a year and a half, up to 24 months, is let's say you have to redo a level, or maybe you take a break and you study something else and you start again or something like that. But the school is sponsoring your visa, and they're sponsoring you to study at their school. So there isn't much flexibility there in terms of like extending it past 24 months. So that's the maximum you can stay on that visa. And if you need to, for some reason, change your visa, or something happens and you need to end it early, then you would need to notify the school that you're leaving Korea, and you need to adjust your study period. And if you have any questions about that, if your schedule looks a little kind of unsure for maybe your time you're going to study in Korea, just let us know, and we can kind of talk you through what would be the best plan of attack for your schedule in Korea, and especially studying and keeping that visa. So now I'm going to move into some questions regarding payment. A lot of people have questions regarding that due to, for one, if you decide to study for a year or more, your tuition payment will be quite high, and also your accommodation payment also might be kind of high depending on where you study as well as where you live. So the school information on our website has the tuition cost, and that is only the tuition costs and associated maybe cost for books and the application fee. No accommodation is included inside the tuition costs. So if you see, like, say for, let's pick Hanguk University. Hanguk University, you see there's an application fee, and then there's the tuition fee. That does not include housing at all. The housing or other accommodation costs are separate. So accommodation could be your dormitory, your mini studio, your share house, anything like that. Those are completely separate costs, and you need to plan for those accordingly. When you initiate contact, or if we send back information to you and you see the application information, then normally it's your accommodation information and any other things you need to know about attendance and other things. So make sure to read those emails really in detail and read all the attachments to those emails, because that has really important information about your costs, about your accommodation types, and other deadlines as well. So again, the tuition payments do not include accommodation. Those are separate. The accommodation costs are another expense you need to keep in mind. In addition, due to how immigration manages visas, as well as how schools like to receive payment, there is no such thing as like a payment plan. You must pay everything up front, because that actually determines the length of your visa if you're with one of our university partners especially. So let's go back to Hanguk University. So let's say I want to study for a full year. I submit all my documentation, I get my invoice from the school. I then see, oh, I owe this much money. You must pay all that money up front by wire transfer normally. So once you do that, then the school can say, okay, well, the student has decided to sign up for 1 year. We can now sponsor that student's visa for 1 year. If you decide you want to start with just 6 months, that's fine. Then you can get your visa for 6 months, and then maybe you are expecting some money later in the year. Then you can register for like another 3 months or 6 months, and you can extend that visa. Again, you can extend it up to a maximum of 2 years. So that's something to keep in mind, and that you must pay the university up front. You can't pay like half and half, or you can't pay like every month or something like that. You can't finance your tuition through the school in any way. That's just because of how the visa system works and how the school kind of works with immigration and how they've decided to sponsor visas. So the only exception to that would be Lexus Korea, which is a little different. They're a private academy, but a very popular choice with many people, especially because you can study for a very short period of time there. You can study like as little as 1 week. If you do decide to study there long term, please let us know, and we can work with you on options for that. However, they cannot sponsor the visa the same way that say our university partners can, the universities in Busan or the university partners in Seoul. So if you do want to study long term with Lexus Korea, then please let us know, and we can explain the options to you. But however, just know that they cannot sponsor the same visa that our university partners can. So again, thank you for joining the live stream. I'm Nathan here at Hanguk. We're talking about living and studying in Korea, answering all of your questions. Again, we've covered questions about admission and application, as well as payment. There are a lot of questions these days about those things because the summer and fall are very popular times to come and start studying in Korea. I know for the US, your school probably ends in like May or June or July, so therefore you'd want to study probably in the fall. Other places, your school may end during the spring sometime, so you're ready to study in the summer. It's good to ask all these questions to get these answers now, so you're prepared to submit your documents and make sure that you have everything in line. Again, just to cover what we've been talking about so far, we've talked about the visa, and just in general, you don't have to submit anything extra to us, at least. The school will give you a document that you will have to take to your local embassy to actually receive your visa. But in terms of submitting documentations for sponsorship, that's all handled in the application process for the school. So you don't have to worry about anything extra for that. There's no like extra form or anything. What we send you, the school can use to sponsor your visa. And in terms of documentation we do send you, the main things you're going to need to probably worry about the most are getting apostles or Korean consular certification on your education documents, as well as proving you have like financial stability. And the way they determine that is to show that you have at least 9,000 US dollars or equivalents in your bank account. That can be your bank account or that can be your parents'. If it's your parents, then you need to prove your relationship to them, and that's normally done by a birth certificate. So just know that that's how the schools and immigration have determined that you're financially stable to study in Korea. You have to prove that before you pay anything, so don't worry about like, oh, I'm not going to have this money after payment. I can't prove I'm quote-unquote financially stable. Don't worry, it's before you actually pay tuition, it's before you pay your housing, it's before you pay anything. So just know that you have to have the equivalent of US $9,000 in your account or in some type of financial product. And I have examples of how you can submit that documentation, so don't worry, I send you an example when you get the application package. Again, for your educational documents, your grades really don't matter as long as you graduated. So if you graduated high school or higher and you can get your document authenticated, your diploma or something equivalent to that, proof of graduation, then you're good to go. The school does not really require you to show like, oh, I'm an A student, I'm a B student, because these programs are what we say are continuing education or further education programs. They're not degree awarding, degree seeking programs. So they don't really need to have proof that you were an A or B student or something like that, just that you've graduated. Again, on the study plan can be really anything, but it should cover some basic things like a little background about yourself, how you got interested in Korea or Korean language and culture, what you plan to do with your skills after you've studied at Korean language school, or how you've been studying so far, or how you like to study as a student, like, oh, I really like listening to music, I really like drilling myself on vocabulary. Anything like that can be included in your self-introduction and study plan. And it's free form. You can just write it on a Word document, sheet of paper, whatever. It doesn't have to be longer than a page in length. That's kind of the length the schools like to see. Feel free to write more if you have more to say, but at least a page in length is good. The coursework or the material you'll cover in class is Korean language. There may be supplemental experiences you have, cultural experiences, or maybe you're gonna have extra classes at your language school, maybe about the news or pop culture or something, but the core language class you're gonna be taking is covering, reading, listening, speaking and writing, as well as your grammar and vocabulary to master those skills. You're gonna have things like in-class activities, maybe you'll play a game, or you'll have dialogue with your classmates or with the teacher. You'll have reading passages, listening comprehension, all these different things will be rolled into class, but there's not something like, oh, what courses am I going to take? I'm going to take like Korean 101 or Korean 201. There's nothing like that. It's just Korean class, and you learn all of those skills I just mentioned over the course of the term, all mixed together. They may be divided by day, or they may be divided by hour. It really depends on the school, but you will cover all those skills over the term, and they will get progressively more difficult, and you'll learn more material as you progress through the levels. It's really important if you do study here with a visa. Not everyone has to have a visa depending on the length of study, but if you have a visa here, it's very important to attend class, because if you do not attend class and maintain a certain level of attendance, the school will report you to immigration. So because they study your visa, because they sponsor your visa and you're there to study Korean, you're expected to be at school and maintain attendance. If you have a medical emergency, if you have a family emergency, and you have to have a long-term absence from school, then you need to notify the school and preferably also notify us. Don't just start skipping class, don't sleep in and miss a bunch of classes, because the school takes very detailed attendance, and they're required to do that by immigration since they do sponsor your visa. Just be aware of stuff like that, and be aware of your schedule, and if for some odd reason you have to visit the doctor and you have a reason to be out for a long period of time, please notify the school as soon as possible. Please have your classmate or your friend, or even us, we can communicate with the school regarding that. Let's see, other things to keep in mind that I've covered. Again, the visa that you get from the universities, the maximum amount of time you can have that is 2 years or 24 months. If you complete the language course quicker, then good for you, but you can't have that visa longer than 24 months. That's kind of the time period cap that immigration puts on that visa. In relation to that, some of you have asked if you can work part-time while you're on that visa, and you can. There are regulations and rules to follow with that. In general, you have to study at a language school for 6 months before you are qualified to find part-time work. This is different than some other countries, but they want to make sure you have some semblance of the Korean language before you just go off and try to work in Korea. So first study for 6 months, then you can look for part-time work. You can work no more than 20 hours during the weekdays where you're in class, and then like weekends and holidays you can work as many hours as you want, but you do have to adhere to those regulations. And also typical jobs, a lot of people will work in retail, or they'll work in a restaurant or something like that as a part-time job. If you have a lot of time, or if your one workplace isn't giving you as many hours, you can have up to 2 workplaces. So you do have a little bit of flexibility once you do qualify for part-time work, but it does take a little time and a little Korean language skills, according to immigration. If you have further questions on that, or other questions regarding part-time work, then please let us know. You can contact us via our email, info@gogohanguk.com. You can send us the contact form on our website, or find us on social media here on Facebook or YouTube. We'll be happy to get back to you regarding those questions. A lot of people do want to supplement their income or earn a little money while they're studying, so that's a common question we get. I believe I'm going to wrap up the live stream very soon. Thank you always for joining us every week. If you have questions, then feel free to comment on these videos, or contact us in any of the ways I mentioned earlier, social media or email or our website. We do check all of those, and we respond quite quickly. We try to answer your questions via those channels, but if we do get asked them a lot, or if you have questions actually during the live stream, we do cover them here, because I know a lot of people probably have the same questions as you about living and studying in Korea. So thanks again for joining us. Reminders, this coming week will be at KCON. June 23rd and 24th are the dates. We're really excited to be there. We have our panel discussion, we have a booth, We have a bunch of giveaways and prizes for you to win. So if you're going to be there, let us know. We can say hi to you and meet you in person. Just remember about the language school deadlines. We have 2 coming up in June, and then in July we have more. So the deadlines are in red on our website, right under our banners. So you can check those out there. If you've already started the application process, I'm sure you've heard from me many times when the deadline is. So please send your documents as soon as possible. Other things to keep in mind, if you're taking the topic, we wish you good luck with that. We know there's a date coming up here in July, so good luck on the topic. I know a lot of you take it to get into college here and college and university in Korea, so best of luck. Let's see. Other things, we're going to have a lot of events coming up here at the end of June into July. Please check our Facebook for all the listing of events, and we'll of course mention those as they come up on other social media as well. If you would like to join us and you're in Korea, just let us know like 3 days in advance, and we'll let you know further details or any other information we need from you. I believe that about wraps it up. Thanks again for joining me. I've been Nathan, the International Student Coordinator at Hanguk, and look forward to seeing you next week on the live stream. And or if you're going to join our events in Korea, we'll see you there as well. Bye bye.